Welcome to this R.C.I.A. video with the title Christian Moral Living. The three main sources used for this topic are Happiness and the Christian Moral Life, written by Paul J. Waddell, Morality, the Catholic View, written by Father Servais Finneker, and our traditional Journey of Faith series of helpful hints. When we address the term morality, we mean it's living out our human vocation to beatitude, that is, the supreme blessedness. Catholic morality flows from the theological conviction that human beings are made in the image and likeness of God and called to relationship with God and others. More clearly, we have a responsibility to steward the gifts God has given us, to care for one another and for all creation. Christian moral life means training in happiness by directing our reason, will, freedom, and passions to the ultimate goal of friendship with God. So, we might ask, what would Jesus do? And that is a call to answer that leads to a call of action. Conscience is actually our sense of the moral goodness or evil of a thing. And it all begins with freedom. Freedom is a talent to be developed. Free choice proceeds from both reason and will. And from birth, we have received moral freedom as a talent to be developed, a seed containing the knowledge of truth, and an inclination towards goodness and happiness. So we're free to choose, but we're not free from the consequences of our choice. Freedom for excellence comes in stages. At birth, our capacities are weak. As in the case of a child or an apprentice, we must form our freedom through education appropriate to our level of development. Adolescence is characterized by increasing independence and growing personal initiative, guided by one's taste for the true and the good, and strengthened by one's experience. Virtue blossoms like a talent in the arts. It is a daring, intelligent, and generous force, the capacity to bring to good completions works of long duration that bear fruit for many. It secures ease and joy in action. The natural inclination toward truth and goodness is the work of God. The process of developing good habits and the dispositions that follow us to overcome human weakness and propensity to sin are called virtues. There are three types of virtues: cardinal virtues, theological virtues, and gifts of the Holy Spirit. We'll talk more about these in the future. But cardinal virtues are eventually prudence, temperance, justice, and fortitude. While theological virtues are essentially faith, hope, and charity. And the gifts of the Holy Spirit are knowledge, understanding, wisdom, counsel, piety, fortitude, and fear of the Lord. Sin is the concept that presupposes we have free will and the capacity to receive and respond to God's invitation. Traditionally, sin has been understood as contrary to nature and contrary to reason. It involves our responses within the myriad of relationships in which we engage: personal, social, intimate, and anonymous. Sin is personal, but it is not private. Social sin is experienced within human institutions and social structures, as shown here in this graphic. The moral teachings of Christ take us to a higher standard than just following the Ten Commandments. There's the good of humans that must come before mere legalism. And Jesus urged us to move beyond legalism to what truly fosters love. The core authority of the church as a moral resource is Matthew 16:19. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Now, Jesus instructed his followers to go for and teach. And the code of canon law is how all that teaching got pulled together for the believer's guidance of how to manage the faith. And the magisterium of the church is the keeper of the dogma and interpretation of the moral code for consistency throughout the ages. But also, we Catholics, as individuals, laity, clergy, all, experience good living lives and faith via example. That is what it's really all about. So we're supposed to be more like Christ. Whatever we do for others is done for Christ. In that vein, one of the worst sins of all is of gossip. As we become more Christ-like, life in Christ means life for us should be a constant effort to be one with Jesus. Living our life in harmony with the love of Christ may put us at odds with secular society. This is the end of the consideration of Christian moral ethics and how we must live, especially as Catholics, in such an ever secularizing world.